Coming up on Valley News Live, one man is dead after a motorcycle crash. And millions of people are now traveling in numbers we haven't seen in a long time. Plus, a grim discovery at a residential school in Canada. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I am Nishay Taylor. Fargo police are investigating a crash in the 4200 block of 9 Avenue Circle South involving a motorcycle last night just after 9:30 p.m. One adult man was taken to a local hospital where he later died. The man has yet to be identified. Fargo police investigators say they are now looking to speak with witnesses who were in the area around the time of the accident. Authorities are also looking to speak with a driver of a white 4-door car with tinted windows. At this time, Fargo PD say they do not have any evidence suggesting the motorcyclist was struck by a vehicle. And anyone with information can call 701-451-7660 or text a tip to Fargo PD at 847-411. And a man is facing charges of driving under the influence after a motor vehicle accident on I-94. North Dakota Highway Patrol says the incident happened around 5:15 this evening. The driver of a Chevy Equinox was traveling eastbound when he crossed 2 lanes and lost control. The vehicle then sideswiped a trailer attached to a Ford F-150. The SUV then ran into the median on the interstate and overturned. The driver was treated for minor injuries. 2 inmates are now back in custody after escaping from the Walsh County Jail last night. 30-year-old Carlin Daw and 29-year-old Bo Carrier violently assaulted correctional staff and ran from the jail a little before 7 p.m. An alert was issued to the public and a large-scale search was immediately initiated. The Walsh County Sheriff's Office was assisted by several law enforcement agencies, including Grafton Police. Daw and Carrier were located and apprehended without incident a couple hours later. More than 50 years after it was shut down, a grim discovery has been made at the site of a former residential school in British Columbia. Using advanced technology, officials found the remains of 215 Indigenous children who are believed to have attended Kamloops Residential School. The Kamloops facility was one of the largest residential schools in Canada. Over the years, details of abuse and unexplained deaths have been coming out.
Today, our community mourns along those who suffered this terrible loss and alongside all survivors of the horrific residential school system who are undoubtedly forced to remember their trauma upon hearing the news. There's nothing more painful in life than losing a child. My heart breaks today thinking of all the loving parents who never saw their children return home and who were never granted the dignity of knowing what happened.
The Canadian government has been investigating the death along with Indigenous leaders. A commission estimates more than 4,000 children died at these residential schools. And Texas could soon have some of the strictest voting regulations in the nation. Lawmakers today unveiled a bill which would make it tough to cast ballots and easier to overturn elections. This push in Texas follows Georgia and Florida as some Republicans align themselves with Donald Trump's false claims that lax voting rules cost him re-election. It's the first holiday weekend where many vaccinated people are taking advantage of CDC guidelines that say it's safe to celebrate. And millions of people are now traveling in numbers that we haven't seen in a very long time.
Americans are back on the move. Fast, just over 40% of the country is now fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
It is great to be out and about.
That traveler in Atlanta has plenty of company this Memorial Day weekend. AAA estimates more than 37 million others are hitting the road for the holiday. That's a 60% increase from what we saw during a pandemic-ravaged 2020. Robert Sinclair from AAA expects what we're seeing this weekend is a promising sign of what's to come this summer.
A lot of pent-up demand, people locked at home for more than a year. We're seeing that people really want to get out and travel, the so-called revenge travel, where people were able to save a lot of money because they weren't traveling to work last year. And so they're going to places, they're staying longer and doing more things and spending more money.
And more of that money may be going to airfare, with Sinclair estimating tickets increased about 19% in April compared to last year. And if you're driving to your destination, it may not have been that much cheaper. The average cost of gas is hovering at about $3 a gallon. That's a 7-year high. On Friday, the White House said that's not unusual given increased demand. But whatever the price to fly or drive, Americans seem to be happy to pay it if it means getting back to normal.
I did not travel for the last year, and so I'm very grateful to be able traveling this year.
It's good to just kind of get some normalcy back, you know what I mean? People get to traveling. I know people's going crazy being inside.
It may be a return to a pre-pandemic norm for many Americans, but it will also be a big test with more than half of the nation still unvaccinated. Health officials will be looking to see if we'll avoid a post-holiday COVID-19 surge now that mask and social distancing restrictions have been eased.
The United States saw a pandemic-era record number of passengers through airports on Friday. According to the TSA, 1.9 million passengers traveled through airports across the country. And among the 40% of Americans who are fully vaccinated, the CDC is reporting about 3/4 of seniors, people 65 or older, are fully vaccinated. The percentage rises to 86% of seniors who've received at least one dose of vaccine. The CDC also reports more than 292 million doses of vaccine have been given. That represents 81% of doses delivered. Live animal showcases are starting to pop back up in North Dakota as COVID restrictions continue to scale back. And here in Fargo, families got a chance to see some pretty exotic animals. Aaron Walling brings us the story.
The COVID-19 pandemic shut down many activities for families and kids as the world dealt with the health crisis. But with the COVID restrictions loosening more and more, animal showcases are just one of many events that are returning to society.
One of the biggest pieces or tools for conservation and to curb animal abuse and neglect is education. So being able to come in and educate families and educate kids, being able to see people that are afraid of certain species of animals and seeing them like progress throughout the session to become a little bit more comfortable is a really cool thing for me.
Both kids and adults were able to get on the fun today, getting to see some animals from across the globe. Thanks to the creatures brought in by Critter Crazy Reptile and Exotic Rescue, parents got to watch the excitement through their kids' eyes.
They loved it. There was an endangered creature, I can't remember the name of it, but to see animals that you don't normally see, tarantulas, iguanas, snakes, things along those lines was really cool.
Some of these children haven't had a chance to get opportunities like this because of COVID. And for Carmack's family, it's just nice to see some normalcy return to their lives.
It's amazing. We actually met a friend of ours today here with both of our families who have not been able to see for close to a year. We love to take our kids to zoos and things like that.
In Fargo, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
The rescue plans on expanding this year to a statewide model to help animals in need across North Dakota. Later on Valley News Live at 10, a popular cruise line gets the green light to set sail once again. But first, a warming trend is in the forecast, but there's still a chance for some thunderstorms. Summer is next.